Don't make these same mistakes I did. Hopefully by sharing these, they'll help you out and you can learn from them without actually having to go through the experiences yourself. The first is, I wish I'd started making beats from scratch earlier and more frequently. I can't tell you how valuable it is to build up your production ability by making things from scratch, by making music from scratch without having to just use loops all the time. And that's not to say using loops is bad. In fact, it's the complete opposite. I just wish I started making stuff from scratch earlier, because this is going to help you so much more in the long run, because you'll get your beats sounding better a lot quicker. You won't always have to rely on what other people have made, but can actually build high quality beats from scratch all by yourself. I wish I'd reminded myself more of this, but your production is the absolute foundation to becoming a successful music producer. I know that might sound obvious, and maybe you're watching this thinking, how on earth could you forget that or not be aware of that? And if that really does surprise you, then I think that's a good thing, because clearly you do understand the importance of your production and that the music you make is at the core of being a successful music producer. The sound of your beats and your sound is the thing that everything else can build off. And it's really important to keep reminding yourself of that. This leads me on to the second thing, which I wish I'd known sooner, which is similar, but it's don't try to monetize your music too early. Really focus on honing in your sound, get better at mixing, sound selection, making drum patterns, etc. and get to a point where your beats are at a good enough level to sell. Now, this is of course subjective, but what I would recommend is trying to get as much feedback on your beats as possible and ask other producers, honestly, do you think my beats are good enough to sell? That'll give you a really good idea of whether you should start selling. You might think your beats are amazing, and look, who am I to judge? Maybe they are. Even if they aren't, it's really important and good that you think they are, because if we're not enjoying what we're making, then what we're doing here? However, it's really easy to get ahead of ourselves and be super focused on money, but trust me, that's not what you want to be focusing on. It'll be more beneficial to start all the other stuff around selling your beats once you're at a good enough production level. Because once you start trying to monetize, your time is drawn away from actually making music toward other things like DMing artists and producers, making videos, editing videos, sending out emails, etc. So if you're not at a good enough level before starting that, you can't spend the time that you need on music to get better. So don't monetize too early. The next thing I wish I'd known sooner is that becoming a successful music producer is often a lot more harder than it seems and then people make it out in videos like this. Yes, if you implement all the different things that I talk about in my videos and other people talk about in theirs, you're much more likely to be successful, to grow. But let me tell you, it's really not that simple. It requires a lot of work and dedication and consistency to build up income from your beats. It's not like one day you break through the wall and then instantly the income you have just continues to rise. It's a jagged line with lots of ups and downs and with a lot of work that you have to put in. Also, the expectation that people have with making music and being a producer can be really detrimental and unrealistic. If you compare beat making and selling to other businesses, because we are talking about a business here, it can kind of put it into perspective a bit better. If you're expecting to make $80,000 in 8 months of starting your business, starting beat selling, that would be pretty nuts, especially because most businesses don't even make a profit in their first year. So when producers are expecting that to be the case, or disappointed when that doesn't happen, and put this pressure on themselves because they've seen people do it on YouTube or whatever and they've been told that it's easy to replicate, it's not always helpful. I'm not saying it's not possible, because it absolutely is. And it may be the case that it works for you in that way. And all I can say is a huge well done. But for this to be the standard and the level of expectation is just not realistic. Another thing I've realized after doing music for a while is that there really are no rules. It can feel as a beginner that you have to do things in a certain way to make your beat sound good. Use a particular compressor, reverb, particular 808. The truth is, there is no right or wrong way to make music. Obviously, there are standard ways to mix and popular techniques to make your music sound better, but you should never feel like you shouldn't do something because you've been told to do it a different way by someone else. Whether that's using a particular sound, instrument, mixing a certain way, everyone is individual with their music. The way they do something can be completely different to the way that you do it. And that's a good thing. You should be encouraged by your uniqueness, because that's what God's gifted you with. Make what you think sounds good in the way that you want to. Flipping heck, why am I trying to be a motivational speaker? The final thing I wish I'd known earlier, and this is a nice one to finish on, is enjoy the journey more. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I think it's something that it's often I need reminding of, and something I really didn't consider too much. When you're working hard every day trying to do all you can to make a living from your music, it's only natural you're going to have this ideal goal in mind where you're making a certain amount of money, working with the artists you've always wanted to work with, whatever it is. It's only natural for that to be the focus and to neglect where you are in the present, how far you've come, how much you've improved, even the sound of your beats now compared to a couple months ago. That's what can keep you going in the times and the days where it's particularly a bit harder. Start appreciating the fact that you're on a journey with your music and you've already come a long way, and really enjoy what you're doing. Thanks so much for watching this video. Feel free to join the producer Discord, first link in the description. We're building a really cool community there, and there's lots of opportunities which are going to be in there going forward. So join that. I'll see you in the next video.